Hi there folks, welcome to Dunsy's Guitar World. In today's video I will be answering a question which I have been asked quite a few times over the last 5 or 6 years since I posted my first video about Greco guitars. So we will be looking at two guitars from the 1980s, both made by Greco, one from 1981, one from 1983. So the first guitar is this 1981 Greco EGF850. A rather beautiful guitar, it has to be said. So this is part of the Greco Super Real series, which would have been late 1980, 81, maybe into 82. Don't take that for gospel. I'm just giving you a rough idea. Certainly the first couple of years of the 1980s, these are like the highest end models which Greco made. Super Real guitars are super really accurate copies of late 50s Gibson guitars. So this is guitar number one, a 1981 Greco EGF850. And in the blue corner, although technically it's a cherry sunburst corner, this is a slightly later guitar. This is a 1983 Greco EG59. Now I believe it to be an EG59-70 because the pickups in this are Greco double trick pickups, which only came in the sunburst guitars in an EG59-70 and an EG59-85. I believe the difference between those two guitars is just that the 70, which would have been 70,000 yen, has a maple top, has a solid maple top, but it does have a veneer on top, whereas I believe, again, you don't believe everything you read on the internet, but the Greco EG59-85 has a solid top but no veneer. It has a solid maple top with flame in it. Now I have looked at this and I think the way to tell is if I've taken the pickups out. This will all be explained later in the video. Took the pickups out, and if you see a centre seam in the pickup cavity, then it's not a flame veneer top. I couldn't see a centre seam in this, but I'm not 100% sure. So for the purposes of this video, I will err on the side of caution and refer to this guitar as an EG59-70. Now the Super Real series were 80, 81, maybe into 82, whereas this was later. This is a mint collection. It does not say mint collection on it. It just says Greco. Now another one you maybe saw, it says Super Real down here. Got my finger on the bloody G string. So this is a later guitar, it has different pickups. So I guess the premise, the purpose of this whole video is to show you the differences in these guitars, the differences and the similarities in these two guitars. I'll get the other one. The differences and the similarities in both of these guitars. This could be the thumbnail for the video. Differences and the similarities in these two guitars. The EGF850 from 1981, which is technically a more expensive guitar, and the EG59-70 from 1983. So this was a precursor to this one, the Super Real versus the Mint Collection. So let's have a more detailed look at the specifications of these two fine guitars. Now I should have said the EGF850 is also a veneer flame top on top of solid maple, if that makes sense. So that flame you're seeing there is actually like a thin maple flame top. Now the Super Real, the 850s anyway and above, have fret end binding. That's a lovely looking fretboard, it has to be said. Rosewood, I'm not entirely sure which, I was going to say which brand, but I don't think you say that, which kind of rosewood it is. So it has Super Real model on the headstock. See, these are very accurate reproductions of Gibson guitars, Gibson Les Pauls, cherry sunburst 50s Les Pauls, as we'll certainly see going by the neck shape on this. I'm not 100% sure what the inlays on the fretboard are. Are they acrylic? Not sure, so let's look at the pickups. These are the stock pickups. Right, let's look at the neck tenon. So these have a short neck tenon, not like 50s Les Pauls, and all the inside of the cavity is shielded paint as well. So the pickups, as well as having all these braided wires, are PU2s. Can't see the serial number, probably not. I'll turn it the right way around. So these are the GRECO PU2 pickups, which I think were the second highest price pickups in the GRECO catalogue around about this time, just underneath the dry Zs. So again, the pickup cavity for the bridge pickup is all shielded paint as well. And it is a PU2, surprisingly enough, 210526 or 58 is that? Could look that up, find out when it was made, but I think 1981. So there you go. All original 3-position switch. Now when you're watching the video later on when I'm doing sound samples, this EGF850 is the guitar which has the scratch plate. So this is the EG59-70. Now you will see here, I've done a whole video on this guitar. A previous owner in Japan must have put a tremolo on here, if you can believe that, a vibrato, and it's had to be all filled in. So that bit of flame and that piece of wood there is not original to the top of this guitar. So I would have thought if this was a veneer top it would have had fancier flame, but it doesn't. Now I'm not sure if this would have came with fret end binding, because there's been a lot of work done to this guitar. It doesn't have fret end binding anymore. I'm not sure if it's been refretted. I'm also not sure of all those inlays either, but they seem a bit more shell-like than the ones on the 850. It is a rosewood fingerboard as well. And there's no Super Real on the headstock obviously at this stage, because this is part of the GRECO Mint collection. So a very nice piece of rosewood for the fingerboard, or fretboard. Quite wide frets as well. Now, I believe these pickups would have came with covers on them. They are double trick pickups. We can see here in the neck cavity, it does have a, is that a transition tenon that's referred to as? Certainly a longer tenon than the one in the EGF850. So they are double trick 82 pickups, which I think as well, they would have been the second highest price GRECO pickup when this guitar was made. They were good sounding pickups, has to be said. So what I tried to do was, so you can see all the shielding paint in there as well, I tried to scrape some of that shielding paint off and see if I could see a centre seam. I can't see one there, so I'm not 100% sure that this is a solid top without a flame waveform there. So let's look at the hardware from the EGF850, FGT made in Japan, and it also has the bridges stamped as well. Now this has a retaining wire on the bridge, you can see that closely there, just in case you break a string and these saddles fall out. And here's the ones from the 59-70, so slightly different. It does have Japan underneath the bridge, nothing on the tailpiece. That does have a retaining wire as well, which I have to say I prefer. You know, I've lost a saddle before when I broke a string. So here's the control knobs on the EGF850 and the control knobs on the 59-70, so they are the same, or certainly very, very similar. Now the nut width on the EGF850 is 43.45mm and the nut width on the 59-70 43.39. The EGF850, the width of the neck at the 12th fret is 52.55mm and the width of the neck at the 12th fret on the EG59-70 is 51.95. And here's the neck profile, 1st and 12th fret of the 850 and the neck profile of the 1st and 12th fret of the EG59. So let's look inside the control cavity on the EGF850. This is all original as far as I'm aware. So it has shielding paint around the top, and the cover also has a bit of shielding tape on it as well. Black capacitors there. And the control cavity of the EG59. So it's different capacitors. It's got those smaller sort of mustard coloured capacitors. Again, there's been work done to this guitar, so I'm not 100% sure that these are all original. And if we look inside the toggle switch of the EG850, very tight spaces. I've had to rewire a few of these. What an absolute nightmare. Cover there. And inside the toggle switch cavity of the 59. So let's look at the pickup measurements in these guitars. So the bridge pickup in the EGF850 measures 8.38. The neck pickup in that guitar measures 7.46. The bridge pickup in the EG59-70 measures 7.84, and the neck pickup in that guitar measures 7.8. Now the middle position in the EGF850 is 3.95, and the middle position in the EG59-70 is 3.68. So we can see the 850 still has a sticker on the back. I think all these guitars shipped with the model number, so we can see the serial number begins with 1, so it's a 1981 guitar. Greco Deluxe. Tuner's quite a chunky neck. So there's no volute on either of these guitars. I'm not 100% sure of the neck construction. Could be 1, 2, 3 pieces, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's a 2-piece body. Now the EG59-70, the serial number begins with a 3, so it's a 1983 guitar, and Greco tuners. Now the neck does not look as big. Again, I'm not 100% sure of the construction of this. So let's look at the weight of these guitars. Now I can tell you the EGF850 definitely feels heavier. So that measures 4.35 kilograms for the EGF850, and for the EG59-70 it weighs 4.2 kilograms. So the EGF850 is heavier, and it does have a more substantial neck on it as well. It is a lot more like the 50s Gibson profile necks, which I've tried. It's a very comfortable profile, it has to be said. The 59-70, slightly smaller, but not like a Gibson 60s profile, certainly still substantial enough to play. If I had to choose, I do prefer the bigger neck profile, but I'm comfortable using both. And I think the pickups sound similar-ish, but I think what I'll do is I'll let you decide what you think. So I'm going to stop my narration, I'm going to stop my yakking away now. I did a lot of sound samples earlier on with these guitars. I did clean, kind of overdriven, some lead sounds, a bit of heavy metal sound, you know, almost thrash metal, and then at the end I've done a full tune as well, just so you can hear. I think there's a subtle difference. Which one do I prefer? I'm not sure there's that much of a difference. I could say I prefer that one. I prefer that one. So there you go, folks. A video comparing a 1981 Greco EGF850, part of their Super Real series, with a 1983 Greco EG59-70, part of their Mint collection. Now the only thing I would ask is, if you've enjoyed the content so far, is that you maybe hit thumbs up, like this video, because it does help. This video is taken, I think it's going to take me, I don't know, 20 hours to make this video, and if you hit like, that does help me out. More people get to see the video, and so on and so forth. Now the last thing I would say is, please don't judge these guitars by the quality of my guitar playing. I'm just trying to let you hear the sounds of what they're like. As ever, folks, it's a privilege and a pleasure bringing you content on Dunsy's Guitar World. Cheers for now.